The 25 best returning players in college basketball according to net wins. The transfer portal and NBA draft have reshuffled every roster in the country. What the numbers say is, or who the numbers say is coming back better than everyone else. Every offseason, the discourse around college basketball's best player runs through the usual filters: recruiting rankings, conference affiliation, ESPN hype circles. Net wins cuts through all of it. If you dominated your team's minutes and your team won, your number goes up. There's no narrative inflation. With the portal chaos largely settled in the 2026 NBA draft deadline now behind us, we have a clearer picture of who's actually coming back for the 26-27 season. Using NetWins data from the 25-26 season, here are the 25 best returning players in college basketball and a handful of notable names just outside the cut. Number 1, Delrecco Gillespie, Houston, formerly of Kent State, at 7.215. The top returning net wins number in the country belongs to a guy most people outside of the MAC have never heard of, and that's about to change. Gillespie was a one-man double-double machine at Kent State, leading the nation with 22 double-doubles in 34 games, while averaging 17.7 points and 11.3 rebounds per game. He earned first-team All-MAC and all defensive team honors, then entered the transfer portal with 1 year of eligibility remaining and committed to Houston. Power 5 competition will be the real test, but the production that got him here is impossible to ignore. Number 2, Patrick Wessler, UNCW. The best big man outside the power conferences had a dominant first year in Wilmington after transferring from Virginia Tech. The 7-foot center averaged 13.6 points and 9.5 rebounds, led the CAA with 17 double-doubles, and helped UNCW earn the conference's top seed. He's still just a junior, which means UNCW could be in trouble for opposing bigs for 2 more seasons. A Riley Wallace Award finalist and Lou Henson Award finalist, Wessler's already on the national radar. Number 3, Mason Falslev, Utah State. Falslev is a do-everything forward, quietly putting up elite numbers for a Mountain West program that deserves more national attention. His versatility on both ends is what drives the net wins number, but he's the kind of player whose impact shows up in the box score, whether he's scoring, rebounding, or defending. Number 4, Tyler Tanner, Vanderbilt, 6.828. Vanderbilt doesn't often show up in conversations about the SEC's best players, but Tanner's number here demands attention. He was a constant force for a Commodores program that's been quietly building, and returning him for the 26-27 season gives Vanderbilt a legitimate backbone. Number 5, Montages Krivas, Arizona, 6.775. The Lithuanian big man was one of Arizona's most efficient contributors in 25-26 and confirmed he's coming back to Tucson despite generating NBA buzz. That's a big deal for the program. Krivas is a rare interior presence who doesn't need the ball to affect the game. He changes how opponents attack the rim. Number 6, Polias Maraksoukas, Arizona State, formerly of St. Mary's. St. Mary's has a long history of producing efficient, fundamentally sound players who don't get their due nationally. He fits that mold perfectly. His net wins production reflects a player who does almost nothing wrong on either end, and he'll be a centerpiece of the new program at Arizona State, where he followed his coach after 2 all-WCC seasons with the Gales. Number 7, Xavier Kennedy of Wake Forest, formerly Merrimack. One of the more surprising names, Kennedy quietly had an exceptional season for Merrimack, and the raw numbers put him in elite company regardless of the conference label. He did enter the portal, landed at Wake Forest, where Steve Forbes has a strong track record developing guards exactly like him. Number 8, Flory Bidunga, Louisville, formerly Kansas, 6.612. The Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year, averaged 13.3 points, 9 rebounds, 2.6 blocks per game for Kansas, then entered a transfer portal and committed to Louisville after withdrawing from the 26 NBA draft. The 6'10 big man runs with the elite at any level, finishing at the rim, protecting it, and rearranging shot selection. Number 9, Gavin Dottie, Syracuse, formerly Siena. Another mid-major name holding down elite company. Dottie was a force for Siena in MAC play and gives the league one of the more intriguing big men in the country. He gets that chance now, having followed Jerry McNamara to Syracuse. The stage is bigger. Let's see if the production follows. Number 10, Silas DeMary Jr., UConn, 6.567. He was one of the most important additions in college basketball last offseason when he transferred from Georgia, and he justified every bit of the hype in his first year with the Huskies. An all Big East first teamer and Big East all defensive team selection, he averaged 10.1 points and 6 assists per game while anchoring a UConn team that reached a national title game. He's returning as a senior, and Dan Hurley will build around him as the Huskies chase another banner. Number 11, Price Sandfort, Nebraska. Sandfort's last season was one of the best individual shooting performances in Big Ten history. 129 three-pointers made, the second most in conference history, on 41.6% shooting from deep. He averaged 18.1 points and led Nebraska to its first NCAA tournament win and a Sweet 16. He had second-round NBA draft feedback in hand and still chose to return for his senior year. Number 12, Jeremy Fears Jr., Michigan State. The nation's assist leader at 9.4 a game, Fears earned all Big Ten first-team honors while averaging 15.2 points per game. He went to the NBA Combine, worked out for teams, and withdrew from the draft with under 2 hours to spare before the deadline. It was the right call. MSU with Fears a national title contender. Without him, they're probably a bubble team. His return is the biggest news of the Big Ten offseason. Number 13, Jackson Holcomb, Utah, formerly Utah Valley. Holcomb was one of UVW's most consistent contributors in the WAC and enters 26-27 as one of the conference's better two-way players. He transferred to Utah for his junior year, jumping from the WAC to the Big 12, a significant step up in competition that will be worth watching. Number 14, Deshaun Good of Miami, formerly Robert Morris. Robert Morris doesn't generate many national headlines, but Good's production was legitimate. The Horizon League Player of the Year transferred to Miami, taking his game to the ACC. His net wins figure is the kind of answer the model was built to provide mid-major dominance that translates. Number 15, Larry Johnson, McNeese State. McNeese State's been one of the more interesting mid-major programs in recent years, and Johnson's number here reflects a dominant individual season. He's the kind of player who makes an entire program run. His net wins production puts him well ahead of players who get far more attention. Number 16, Thomas Dowd, Auburn, formerly Troy. Troy's Dowd had a quietly excellent 25-26 campaign in the Sun Belt Tournament MVP, transferred to Auburn. Auburn will get a power conference stage after averaging 14.4 points and 10.1 rebounds for the Trojans. Number 17, Thomas Slav Buljan, Maryland, formerly played for New Mexico. He had been one of the Mountain West more overlooked contributors. His net wins total reflects a player who made the Lobos go. The only Mountain West player to average a double-double, he transferred to Maryland with a Croatian Croatian sophomore will step into a featured role in the Big Ten alongside Farrell Payne. Number 18, Brandon Benjamin, who transferred from Fairfield to Boston College. He was second in the nation with 4.25 offensive rebounds per game as a freshman. Number 19, Dejas DeRitter, Virginia, at 5.798. The UVA big man had a strong season for the Cavaliers and brings a blend of skill and size that net wins rewards. Number 20, Elijah Price, Nevada. The Mountain West will have no shortage of intriguing players, and Price's net wins number gives the Wolfpack fans reasons to believe the program can compete for the upper half of the conference. He was one of the most consistent contributors to Nevada last year. Number 21, Trevian Carson of Cincinnati, transferred from North Dakota State. He was one of the Summit League's most productive returning players. His efficiency numbers are strong across the board, and the first team All-Summit League selection transferred to Cincinnati, where he joins their Big 12 rebuild. Number 22, Trevon Lionheart of Nebraska, formerly of Utah Valley. His presence underscores just how well Utah Valley had built its roster. He followed his strong WAC career by transferring to Nebraska, where Price Sandfort's return means that he joins a backcourt built to contend in the Big Ten. Number 23, Ruben Chenilu of Florida. He officially withdrew from the 26 NBA draft on May 21st, confirming he'll play his senior season in Gainesville. The 7-foot center was one of the SEC's most dominant interior defenders, and his return gives Florida one of the most imposing front courts in the country, alongside Alex Condon. That's two projected NBA big men choosing to come back to the same program. Next at 24, Alex Condon. A projected 27 first-round pick chose to return to Gainesville for his senior season after averaging 15.1 points, 7.5 rebounds, 3.6 assists, and 1.4 blocks per game. He's a top 10 big man in the country and a centerpiece of what could be a very dangerous Gators team. Number 25, Hank Alvey of Lehigh. He broke out in his sophomore season for the Patriot League champion, averaging 15.2 points, 6.9 rebounds, 2.1 assists, and 1.8 blocks per game. The 6'9 forward is one of the most efficient big men in the country and gives the Mountain Hawks a genuine anchor as they look to build on their NCAA tournament run. Other notable players to watch who are highlighted going into the analysis, and while they don't crack the top 25 by net wins, they each bring something worth tracking. Thomas Ha of Florida announced earlier this spring his passing on the draft and returning with Chenlu and Condon. They have three high major talents in their front court. David Merkovic of Illinois, the freshman who dramatically announced I'm back on Twitch before revealing he was returning for a sophomore season. He averaged 13.3 points, 8 rebounds, and 2.6 assists for the Final Four Illini. He's a preseason All-Big Ten candidate. Milan Momcilovic of Iowa State, one of the Big 12's better wings, returning for another year with the Cyclones. Patrick Gongba of Duke returned to Durham with an opportunity to step in a larger role following Cameron Boozer's departure, so his production should take a significant jump. Elliot Cadu of Michigan, he gives the Wolverines a reliable ball handler, returning for the 26-27 season. Matas Vokatelias of Texas, Cohen Carr of Michigan State, Amari Allen of Alabama, Brandon Mullins of UConn, the man who hit the game-winning shot off the half-court logo to send UConn past Duke in the Elite Eight. He's projected as a lottery pick and chose to return for his sophomore season. Malachi Moreno of Kentucky, Andrei Stojakovic, the son of Peja Stojakovic, returning to Champaign alongside Merkovic. Tahad Pettiford of Auburn, Trey McKinney of Michigan, Billy Richmond of Arkansas, Josh Hubbard of Mississippi State, Nigel James Jr. of Marquette. So what does this list tell us? Well, first, the transfer portal's everywhere. 10 of the 25 players on this list are playing for different programs next season. Then the one where they generated their net wins number. That's the new reality of college basketball. That production's portable, and the model tracks the player, not the jersey. Second, the mid-major numbers are real. Gillespie, Wessler, and Alvey aren't padding stats against inferior competition. They're producing at rates that compare favorably to anyone in the country. When NetWin says those players are elite, that's the model doing its job. Third, the Big Ten's loaded at the top. Sanford, Fears, DeRitter, Merkovic, Condon, Leonhardt, and Bullijan all return after generating NBA draft interest or stepping into major roles. That's a remarkable amount of top-end talent staying in school, and it points to a Big Ten that should be ferociously competitive top to bottom. Fourth, keep your eyes on Krivas at Arizona. He returns as the 5th best net wins producer in the country, and with Akawa, Bradley, Berries, and Pete all heading to the draft, his role will only grow. If you're building a preseason top 10 list, the Wildcats deserve serious consideration. So the 26-27 college basketball season's already taking shape. NetWin sees it before the hype does. NetWin's the original statistic developed at netwins.substack.com. All the figures reflected this past season. The NetWins formula and all written content are original works. All rights reserved. Thank you.